Alrighty, everybody. So today I am adding something to the brew schedule that I hadn't planned on making this year, but in the spirit of spontaneity, that's the word I was looking for, why not? So in a couple of months, my mother-in-law will be coming down for her birthday along with her twin brother. So I've decided that I would like to make a wine for her. Not just any wine. I will be making a Pyment, which is a combination of wine and mead. So today, instead of using water, I'll be using grape juice. In this particular case, this is Bio Italia grape juice, and it comes in 750 ml bottles, which will be great for when I bottle later, because I'm thinking that I will give her a couple of bottles to take home, and then we'll just drink the rest when she gets here. So that's a Pyment, and I'll be making a 2-gallon batch, so I'm using one of my bigger fermenters today. And I did some math, hopefully the math is somewhat correct. Between the juice and the honey, once it's all fermented, it should end up being about a 14.5 to 15% alcohol by volume wine. So it's not something to shake a stick at. If anybody watches Kentucky Ballistics, you'll understand that quote. So first thing is first, we get the honey going. Actually, first thing was sanitizing everything, and as you can see, everything is clean. This even still has some sanitation fluid in it. My hands are sanitized, and we are ready to go. So we're gonna measure out the honey. For this 2-gallon batch, we're gonna go with 4 pounds. I am pretty darn sure that this is exactly 4 pounds, but I gotta measure it out to see. So let's get that going. All right, we're at the 3-pound mark, and there is a slight chance that this is an entire pound still in the bottle. So I'm gonna twist this off real quick and put that there. We're gonna let that sit for a minute. Take this off. We're going to, so I'm at 3.108. So long as this is at least 0.9 pounds later, it'll be good to go. So other ingredients that are happening in this brew. For tannins, because I kind of want this to be a rather heavy brew, my mother-in-law enjoys a Cabernet type of wine. So I'm thinking like Cabernet Sauvignon. It's big, it's bold, it's dry. So I'm adding 16 ounces of black tea in order to get that going. Right now, this is freshly brewed, so it is quite warm to the touch. Luckily, it's not going to have the yeast in it quite yet, because the yeast would just die. Yeast dies around 120 degrees Fahrenheit. This is much higher than that, so we'll just let that keep sitting. We did the grape juice. I've got fermento as a nutrient. When you have these big, bold brews, it's always good to have some nutrients on hand, just because the yeast may get stressed out and the nutrients help chill them out a little bit. And then I also have pectic enzyme. So pectic enzyme is used generally to break down pectin. Pectin is generally used in jam making to make everything all gooey and clumped together. We don't want that in a mead or alcohol drink whatsoever. So what the pectic enzyme does is that it breaks down the pectin, and it'll actually help clarify the mead during the process. I'm adding this at the beginning of fermentation so that we can see first off how it goes during this process, and I may add more after fermentation has ended. only if it's needed. All right, and finally, we have yeast. Today, because this is going to be a big, bold mead, I am using Lalvin K1-1116. Yes. This particular yeast is known for its big, bold flavors, and it'll still bring out the honey character, which is something I do want. I don't want this to just be wine. I do want to bring out the character of the honey. So this will definitely help with that. All right. Oh, we might have another pound in here. Let's do a thing. I'm about halfway there. So we'll cap it off and do some more waiting. We will be back momentarily. All right, instead of waiting for forever for this definitely not gonna be half pound in here, I'm gonna go ahead and put in at least, let's see, what am I at? 0.45, I need to get to 0.9. So I'm gonna put at least a quarter pound in here so that it gets to about 0.7, and then I'm gonna use the tea to help rinse this out. So we'll just add up to 0.7. Ooh, there we go. Hands are sanitized, and I will sanitize again. All right, so that's that. And then the last little bit will definitely be in here, and I will use the tea. The warm tea will help. All right. And now we shake. Release a little bit of pressure because it's warm and it increases the pressure. Here we go, and shake some more. Now the benefit of doing this shaking is that this will also help oxygenate the brew. Why do we need to oxygenate? Well, yeast, like every other living thing in this particular planet, it needs oxygen to survive. So at least at the beginning, at the budding phase, if I'm not mistaken, when it just starts reproducing, it needs oxygen so that it can do that. It's once alcohol is present that oxygen is bad. All right, so we'll take that off, turn that off, and add it to the pitcher. Yep, there's no honey left in that. And so now we've got that, and I'm gonna add some of the juice so that we can start stirring. Oh, I should have shaken it. Look at all that. Let's take some of what we poured. Just a little bit, not much, because I actually want this goop, again, for nutrients. There we go. And now we take the spattle. It's a spoon, it's a paddle, it's a spattle. And we give it a good stir. I'm stirring this now because it's actually easier to stir in this pitcher than it is in the fermenter because it has a wider mouth, so I can really dig into it. Am I going to be able to dissolve all this honey in as little liquid as this is? Probably not. So it will take a few times to get that going. But for now, we just stir. And again, for oxygenation purposes, I'm not going to be stirring nicely. I'm going to be splashing about a good bit. I'm going to be not gentle, so that we can get as much oxygen as possible. Although I have to admit, it's not doing too badly with as little liquid as there was. Here we go. All right. Now, I did say that I did some math to try and figure out the potential ABV of the brew. To actually get a more proper estimate of the brew, I will be taking a specific gravity measurement. Rachel, what is specific gravity? Specific gravity is the comparison of a liquid to water with its sugar content. So in this particular case, and so water, plain water, has no sugars, and water that does have sugars in it is more dense. And so the more dense a liquid is, the higher the number. The higher the number, the higher the potential ABV. So let's get this in here. That's not too bad, but as you can see, there's still a fair bit of honey all along the sides. So I'll take another bottle and add that. Again, not being gentle so that we can get that oxygen. But also not being so wild that the juice comes out of the pitcher. Whoops. Now, if you've ever watched this channel before, you have seen this fermenter, but it didn't have the gradations here before. I finally decided that I wanted the gradations because this particular fermenter can hold 3+ gallons or 20 liters, and it didn't have any gradations on it, so I added a couple. And today we'll be going up to the green line, which is the 2-gallon mark. There we go. See how this is. Much better. All right. So that is there. And I'm going to go ahead and add the pectic enzyme so that it'll mix in when I pour in the other bottles. This is a full teaspoon of pectic enzyme, which turns out is a little bit on the sticky side. Yeah. There we go. Add a little bit of juice to help clear that out. There we go, much better. And then I'm also going to do the same thing with Fermade O, the nutrient of choice. Here we go. Again, rinse it out just a little bit with some of the juice. There we go. All right, and now we fill to the 2-gallon mark. We're just over a gallon now, maybe 1.25 gallons. It's gonna be fine. Yep, right at 2 gallons. Whew, that's a lot of juice. And this baby's gonna be heavy, and she is. So, next thing I want to do is add our yeast. Normally I would also take a pH at this point, but My pH meter has been acting up and I need to get calibrated with it again. So I'm not gonna do that today. I'm not particularly worried because there are so many sugars in here, and grape juice is pretty acidic, and the fermentation process is an acidifying process. I'm not worried about botulism, especially since this will be going to 15% ABV. If I was doing something like a beer that was only going to like 4 or 5%, pH is a much, much bigger deal because the alcohol wouldn't kill the botulism or the other creepy crawly things, germs, that would be in the brew. But with this going to 15%, not worried at all. All right, so for 2 gallons, I will be using a half packet of the K1 V1116. We're just gonna sprinkle it on top. There's that. And you know what? Before I added the yeast, you know what I should have done? I should have taken my specific gravity reading. So now I have the hard time of finding a spot without yeast. Let's see if I can do that. There we go. That can go back in there because of that. All right, so 30.3 bricks. Let's go do some math. Woo, Nelly. So in theory, this is very much in theory, this could potentially get up to 17% ABV. I don't know if it'll get that high, but if it does, wow. If it doesn't, great, because then there will be some residual sugars that'll help sweeten it up just a little bit to counteract some of that alcohol burn. All right, so now I put a lid on it and an airlock, and it's gonna sit. Because this is such a beefy boy, this will probably sit for about a month before it's ready to do anything, because anything that's a higher ABV tends to take a bit more time. So when it's time to rack, I'll see you then. Have a good one.